Well, those are all the top stories that we're tracking this morning, but a whole host of stocks also in focus. Let's take it straight then to Eicher Motors. That's the one in focus as, the VECV vertical of the company saw good recovery both year-on-year and quarter-on-quarter. 6,070 units sold in the month of September for Volvo Eicher commercial vehicles, that is. We have the MD CEO Vinod Aggarwal joining us on the show now. Thanks a lot, sir, for joining in. There was good recovery both year-on-year and quarter-on-quarter. 6,070 units comes after months of sputtering sales. So can you tell us how much of this is sustainable, how much of that was an element of pent-up demand, and if you could break it up in terms of LCV, MHCV, buses, which segment did well?
Absolutely. I think I had been saying that for past few months that we are going to see a month-on-month better sales in the CV industry, and that's what is coming true. If you look at last 3 months, July month had the CV industry 3.5 ton and above sale of around 23,000. In the August, the sale was 26,000 for the CV industry, 3.5 ton and above. And in the month of September, it was 32,000. So month on month, we are seeing better sales, and that is a sign of recovery in the CV industry, because CV industry had been depressed very badly for last more than 2 years, and now it is coming out of that recession. And we are seeing the same sort of recovery in our sales. Like for example, July 4,300, August 4,800, now 6,100. So it is absolutely in line with the recovery in the CV industry, and we are doing very well in all our segments. We are doing well in light and medium duty trucks. There last month we had a market share of 34%. In heavy duty trucks, both Volvo and Eicher put together, we had a market share of close to 7.5–8%. And in buses also we had a market share in LMD buses of around 25%, and in HT buses of around 10%. So we are consistently improving on our...
Suffice to say, Mr. Aggarwal, then, that this is on an improving trajectory. 6,100 units is what you sold in September. Going forward, is this number sustainable? In March, you did almost 7,000 units. So you think at some point this year you can go ahead and cross that number as well?
I will give you the perspective on industry, and based on that you can extrapolate that very easily. If you look at last year's second half sales for 3.5 ton above industry was 180,000 trucks and buses. And now this year first half is 125,000. Last year first half was 50,000. Now based on industry sale of 125,000 in first half for 3.5 ton and above, second half last year was 180,000. So if you say there will be at least 8 to 10% growth in that 180,000. So even if you assume that second half for the industry is likely to be 200,000, it means the industry size for this year 3.5 ton and above will be something like 325,000. Now 325,000 will be almost equal to the sale of 1920. If you recall, in 1820 the sales were 557,000 for the industry, and in 1920 it was 332, and last year it was 232.
Okay.
So again 232 we are likely to see for the industry 325,000 sales.
Okay.
Now based on that, of course, you can extrapolate that from VECV also we will try to match the industry growth.
Mr. Aggarwal, that is good to know that demand is recovering and you are seeing good growth even in the second half as far as the CV industry is concerned. But let's talk about the supply side. We have been talking about the semiconductor or chip shortage. How is the situation right now, and is it something that will continue to pressurize margins?
That situation is there, and it is still continuing, and there is a lot of constraint in the supply of microprocessors. But I am sure all the companies are doing their best. The supply chains are running around, and they are somehow managing the parts. So I think that situation will continue for some more time to come. And but then of course we have to manage the constraints in a good manner. So that's the best.
So any price hikes that are planned in order to ensure that the margins are not under pressure?
Price hikes have already happened from October. I think the industry has already.
How much is the quantum? What is the quantum, Mr. Aggarwal, of price hikes?
I think it is 2 to 3%.
Okay. Okay. All right. And what about the export markets? You said that is recovering well as well. What is the portion of your overall sales coming from the export markets, and what is the outlook?
Export market is also started doing much better. If you look at the exports out of the country, they are also much better than the previous years. So they are in line with the overall growth in the industry. So we are expecting good traction coming from international markets also, especially from Bangladesh market is improving. Nepal has also started improving. Middle East is doing better for the buses segment. African markets are doing better. Southeast Asian markets are also doing better. So I think all across there is improvement seen in the international markets as well.
Right. Mr. Aggarwal, you did say that there is a concern with regards to semiconductor from an industry standpoint. Just from VECV standpoint, if you could tell us what exactly is your current operational capacity and how many vehicles are you producing each month?
We never produce to stock. We produce in line with our sales. And last month we produced 5,000. Yeah. In fact, our sales were more than production. In fact, in the month of September. And October also we are planning to produce more than this. And the capacity is not a concern. We have very good capacities. As you know, we had also set up new plant in Bhopal, and there we had added further capacity of 40,000 trucks.
Right.
We were already capacity of around 90,000 in Pithampur. So we have fairly good capacities.
Right.
As of now, the utilization is not very good. So therefore, I think capacity is not a constraint. We can improve more. We can increase more production.
All right. Take your point on the VECV business, Mr. Aggarwal. Thanks a lot for joining in and talking about that. But just before we let you go, I'm not sure whether you're the concerned person on this, but the street would definitely like your word on the exits that are taking place in Royal Enfield. We had Pankaj Sharma, the national business head, who went to Ola, then Lalit Malik. We understand Shubhranshu Singh, who's the global head of marketing, also serving his notice period right now. So these exits from Royal Enfield, they're really worrying the street. Someone close to the matter as you, if you could give us a comment on that.
I'm not the spokesperson for Royal Enfield, so unfortunately I cannot give you any information on that because, of course, I'm not aware also, and I don't deal with that.
All right, no problem. Thanks a lot for joining in, giving us those details, especially the second half of this year looks good for VECV as well as the industry, notwithstanding the semiconductor issue. They've announced price hikes for 2 to 3% from October. Let's see whether that is enough to sustain their margins or not. With that, we'll slip into a short break with the news that the markets are roaring. So let's come back and get you a quick technical check.